The big question here on Morning Kick Around, wrapping up our week on the show. I'm Robert. He's Jason. We just had Hitch on from PMI. He's found success getting butts in seats at a huge level in summer league soccer. So we're asking you, the MK Ultras, the viewers, where should he plop a team down next? Where should he investigate? Where can he invigorate the population to become soccer supporters?
We are absolutely going to prioritize our MK Ultras, who have suggested some markets, some towns, some places for teams that Hitch or somebody like Hitch might be interested in bringing soccer to, or could be interested, could be intrigued by. We'll start with Chris Sau. He says Baton Rouge, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, which I don't know a lot about. Obviously, the capital of Louisiana. Chris also goes on to say that there was a team there, even with no promotion, no connection, basically nothing online, and horrible marketing. Parish AC was still about to get multiple hundreds out to multiple games. There's obviously an appetite. So it does feel like maybe Baton Rouge, Louisiana is a place. I think, Rob, you and I talked about New Orleans down the road from Baton Rouge as a potential USL market, but that seems to be dead in the water, right? That whole thing kind of fell apart. So, I mean, New Orleans is a much bigger city that feels like it needs something. I think there's a team called the Jesters. Are they still operating? Maybe Chris can tell me if there's the New Orleans Jesters are still operating in New Orleans. I believe that is it's an NPSL team. So, New Orleans has a team in the NPSL. Maybe Baton Rouge should get one as well. Then we could have a little rivalry. What do you think about Baton Rouge?
I like that idea. And like you said, there's been some teasing and some foreshadowing of possibly a pro team coming to Louisiana, but obviously nothing has come to bear fruit so far. So definitely that seems like an under serviced part of the country when it comes to soccer at higher levels, even at the summer soccer level that we were specifically talking about with Hitch.
What I like doing, what I like about this question, and it's very open-ended. Like, let's acknowledge that it's very open-ended. What I like about it is we don't have to do that thing that we sometimes do with MLS teams or USL Championship when we're talking about the first division. If USL launches a first division, you've got to meet certain population requirements. Literally any town. I mean, literally any town. Now, look, the bigger the population, the more likely it is you're going to get, decent numbers for games. But Annapolis, Maryland's not a big place. Capital of Maryland, not a big place. And they get 12,000 out for a summer league game. And they do the double headers and the women's team and all that. Who cares what the population of Baton Rouge, Louisiana is? They should be able to get 4 or 5 or 6,000 people out to support their team. If you do it right, if you make it as Hitch talked about, if you connect to the community, you do the work, you find ways to make it feel like theirs. That is so important here. And I think that our member Mike Thomas is the one that said that, teams that sort of cut corners or don't put in the work. Here it is. The worst thing soccer teams in this country do is forcing it. Now, obviously that's in the eye of the beholder what forcing it means. But in this case, we're talking about not doing that means being connected to the community, not just saying, well, I got the money and I got an idea and here's Baton Rouge FC. That might not be the thing that Baton Rouge connects with. Also, Ryan, a member, shout out to Ryan MK Ultra, Billings, Montana, which, big sky country. Maybe we need more soccer up there. Billings has 120,000 people in it. That sounds like the right kind of town.
I know that Montana supports Mizzou football pretty big time, and those games in Missoula.
Missoula is the town. Yeah. Mizzou is the University of Missouri. So be careful.
Word salad there. There. But that's a great football town. So that's Billings adjacent.
Well, and look, again, let's go back to what Hitch said about Lubbock, right? Lubbock is Texas Tech University. You've got a baseball team, a softball team that are very successful in Lubbock at the college level. People will go out and support that, identifying with their town, identifying with the local university. And then when Texas Tech football comes around, that's going to dominate. It's Texas. It's going to dominate conversation. It's going to eat up all the dollars and all the attention. But you have that window in the summer when school is out and there's no college sports happening. And I imagine in a place, where there is a college, there is a town that kind of rallies around that in the summer in particular, that might be the kind of place to launch a team like this. So I think that's a great that I'm not saying it lays over directly every single time. I also point out that Annapolis is the home of the Naval Academy, so they've got that same kind of dynamic. So, you do maybe college towns like that, not necessarily big ones. We're talking about Columbus, they've got an MLS team. We're talking about some of these smaller ones that, mid-major kind of levels where this could be massive, this could be successful.
Yeah, that's a good point. Is kind of like working within populations that are already there in somewhat of an organized structure. Some of the biggest teams overseas, they came from within factories or from within certain subgroups that kind of already had a populace with similar goals and interests, and they activated them. So yeah, a college town or a naval academy or something like that seems to make sense. An interesting suggestion from Mike as well. Bethlehem, a Bethlehem resurgence that might have a
Yeah,
little bit of
yeah,
baggage because that's a historic
yeah.
team.
Yeah, well, there was that obviously the Philadelphia Union launched their reserve team in Bethlehem as the Bethlehem Steel, trading on the old name. Then I think basically it became too expensive for them to operate that team in Bethlehem, and then obviously they just brought it into under the Philadelphia Union umbrella, and I think now it's just Philadelphia Union 2. Obviously, that Lehigh Valley area, I don't know a ton about it. I'm sure Mike could give us some insight. So there is that. Uh, he also says Delco needs a team. We need a Delco branded team. Even though the Union are technically in that area, he says there'll be a branding there. More details on Baton Rouge. Baton Rouge City of over 200,000, same as McKinney. Their parish EBR has about 450K. Plenty of people. Parish, by the way, if you don't know, is the county. Louisiana has parishes, they don't have counties. I know that from having lived in Louisiana as a kid. It's kind of a weird thing. Like
I
a
knew
like
that
a
from True
Catholic church.
Detective.
You knew that for True Detective. Well, there you go. Teaching people about Louisiana. This is important. Not a MK Ultra, but I'm going to throw it in here in a way. Don't see them as markets, but communities that are ready to go mad for their communities clubs. That's exactly right. Now, I do think that, we can get wrapped up in language and get overly precious about don't use that kind of language, marketing languages. You can use marketing languages in marketing settings. In a meeting among marketers, use that marketing language. But when you go out into the community, don't say, this is a great market. Say, this is a great community. That is what sells that idea that this is about the community, not about somebody trying to come in, carpetbagging, making money, that kind of stuff. Lawrence, Kansas, another college town, another possibility. Angus, who is an MK Ultra. Now, again, no one's saying that this is the trick, like just pick a college town and it works. I'm simply saying that if you want something that kind of falls into the same slot as an Annapolis or some of these other places, it might be that, like a Lubbock. But there's got to be other towns that aren't necessarily college towns. And that thing we talked about with Hitch about becoming professional, I don't know that you're like, let's not start a team here because it'll be really difficult to go pro one day. Like, you should start the team anyway if you think it can be successful in the summer months. But there will be places where that lift to professional soccer might be more difficult because you are dealing with limited oxygen with a big college program or something that is extremely popular that the town has already been rallying around for 60, 80, 100 years.
Looking at kind of some like population of areas that don't have like major teams in them that kind of look like they'd be interesting is one that kind of hits is Fresno, California. They have Fresno State Bulldogs. They have a big population there.
Fresno has been twice around on pro teams in recent years. I'm just going to point that out. Now, maybe it's not pro that needs to happen in Fresno, but Fresno's been around twice on pro teams. Now, the team that was in Fresno is Monterey Bay. So, Fresno's a big, that's actually a decent sized town. Everybody knows Fresno. They obviously have a big college football program in Fresno State. But I think, so to me, what's fun about this, and again, we are just kind of like throwing darts. We're not, I'm not getting too into like, well, let's do the research. We're not doing that right now. But,
Right.
you look at, we could do that later, obviously, but you look at some of this stuff and you're like, oh, maybe Grand Junction, Colorado is a place. Just a random name, like just a random town that feels like someplace that maybe a team like this, like a McKinney Chupacabras or a Lubbock Matadors or an Annapolis Blues could be successful. I'm in Northern Virginia, and there are obviously DC United is 15 minutes away from my house. But if you put a team, and also we have Loudoun United, which is an hour away from my house in the exurbs. But if you found a market to put a team in this area that isn't necessarily, they can create something within a little pocket that you don't, it's not like you're competing with DC United. If you're doing short season and you sell it right, maybe you can get 3 or 4 5,000 people out to watch these teams. And there are lots of high amateur teams in the area, but this is sort of like that sort of like extra level that Hitch has brought to it.
Just another kind of interesting point, just for some context. Villarreal in Spain, over 25 years in first division, has a population of 45,000. So that's the community rather than the market speaking for itself there. There's examples across the globe,
Well,
really, of small
so
towns.
what's interesting with that one, you have to contextualize it. Obviously, football in Spain, football different than soccer in America, and the history of that, right? The history of Villarreal having a team, the long-standing nature of that club in that community, you know, before television, before all the things that have distracted us, that team was already established. And so when you think about them now, they are such an integral part of the identity of that community in that area that it's not apples to apples. If you're going, well, we can put a team in a 45,000 population city in this country and it'd be the same thing. Obviously, that's not the case, but that's why it's so important to what Hitch was saying about figuring out ways to connect with the community that make people feel like this isn't just a business that's opening, right? It's not just another Dunkin' Donuts. Like, it is something that wraps around the community and feels connected to the identity, which is why I asked about branding, Rob. And that's the fun part, is like, oh, put a team in this town and name it this thing that relates directly to the history of that place. The culture.
Yeah, the Appalachian team, the Bigfoot team that he mentioned, that's branding that stuck with me. I mean, I've never seen a single game, but I know exactly what that team's branding looks like, and that's
Do you know where Boone, North Carolina is, Rob? Do you have any idea where Boone, North Carolina is?
I'm assuming it's in a very rural area in North Carolina.
It is basically, let's say, I would say it's halfway between Greensboro and Knoxville. You could, if you were driving from one to the other. It is, yeah, it's directly sort of south of the Virginia border. I don't know how long that drive would be, maybe an hour or something. Like, it's not, nobody goes, oh, you know what would be a great place for a soccer team? Usually Boone, North Carolina, right? That's not, but it's obviously been good for Hitch, and the branding has made a major part of this, and they've got, they do have things there. And maybe so much of this story is about, hey, we've got towns and places in America that it would just be fun to learn about because now they've got a soccer team.
Great episode, great conversation, lots of food for thought here on our Friday edition of Morning Kickaround. Thank you to Hitch for joining us and sharing some knowledge and getting us excited about the growth of these clubs scattered across the country. Keep the conversation going in the comments. Throw more suggestions into the comments of where you'd want to see a team. Is your town one of the places that might benefit our community, that might rally around a new team? Thank you to our new members, 2 new members during the live show today, Pamit and a homeless shoe. Thank you for becoming an MK Ultra. How do they get the link to become part of our Discord there, Jason?
I will post it on the channel for anybody who doesn't have it. I think I asked if anybody needs it, but I will post it. If you don't know Discord, the link changes every so often. It's just a security element. So if you're not in the Discord and you're a member, I will do a post today on the channel just for members, and you'll be able to see it and click on it and join the Discord and become part of the MK Ultras community over there.
Yeah, love the conversations that are going over there. They got local ones, we got Major League Soccer ones, we got USL one, and in a general thread over there, lots of people throwing what they're going for the weekend, their takes on the national team games, lots of great American soccer conversation having in the Morning Kick Around Discord channel. So I'd say almost that in its own right, worth the membership, but you also get priority commenting on live shows. You get early access to videos and bonus content. So lots of benefits for that $3.99 MK Ultra membership. Thank you everyone for tuning in. We will be back on Monday. And until then, everybody, enjoy your soccer.